Donald Trump wants the Washington Commanders to go back to their original name, and it has nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. No, it's not a distraction. He seriously wants this. He cares about it, and he's not just hoping that he'll throw this red meat to his base and they'll forget that he's covering up for PDF files. Now that we're clear, let's jump into what he said on social media. My statement on the Washington Redskins has totally blown up, but only in a very positive way. I love starting my social media messages with wishful thinking. Anyway, I may put a restriction on them that if they don't change the name back and get rid of the ridiculous moniker Washington Commanders. What's ridiculous about it? It sounds perfectly fine. I won't make a deal for them to build a stadium in Washington. So the idea there, and we'll go back to, he also talks about Cleveland, the Guardians. He wants them to go back to Cleveland Indians. So the idea is that unless he gets the preferred name that he likes, they will not have a team in Washington. Screw anyone in Washington that wants them to come back or whatever. It's not gonna happen unless they bow down to his culture war BS. Which is funny because not that many years ago, he had a very different opinion about presidents chiming in on stuff like this when he said, president should not be telling the Washington Redskins to change their name. Our country has far bigger problems. Focus on them, not nonsense. To his defense, in 2013, America had a lot more problems than it does in 2025. Who believes that? But anyway, he wants it, and he wants the Cleveland Indians to go back to that name or whatever. And the entire thing is just so like he has so little respect for his base. He doesn't care about this, but he's hoping like there's gotta be enough conservative whites that desperately want those offensive names back. And that seems to be what this gamble is entirely about, JR. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is more of, for someone who's as childlike and toddler minded as Donald Trump is, he has to turn his fascism into covering everything. It's like, you know what? Legos have way too many blue pieces. I like the long yellow ones. So he has to change everything to things that have absolutely nothing to do with what anyone cares about. By the way, the whole deal with the Washington Commanders and the stadium back and forth, they've been dealing with politicians and funding and using certain monies for it, and the owners of the team being a-holes at one point, and all these types of things. There's so many politics around this team, partially, I guess, because of the city that they're in, that he figures, this is something else that has been talked about a lot in this city. Let me be the one to throw my stamp on it and do anything that I want with it, because I used to run a failed football organization too that didn't make it that far. So let me try and thumb my way back into more anything that has to do with sports when nobody gives a damn what I think about anything. It's why he has to golf every weekend and brag about how he's playing with professional golfers. He has this obsession with being involved with so many sports when no one really wants him there. All he does is make it uncomfortable, make it annoying, and have to have people argue about the stupid points that he wants to deal with all the time. This is what he's using your fascism for, bro? To try and force names back onto a team that everyone's pretty much gotten used to anyway at this point. There's fun nicknames that go along with the Commanders anyway.
Yeah, by the way, can we go back to graphic one? Just because I guess I shouldn't gloss over how utterly strange it is that he ends that message, the President of the United States, with "Make Indians Great Again, MAGA." So like, I don't like MAGA, it's stupid. It's intentionally stupid, but just like putting everything into that, like, do we have to do that? It's so strange, so strange. And later he says, our great Indian people in massive numbers want this to happen. Their heritage and prestige is systematically being taken away from them. This is their heritage and prestige being taken away from them? That's the thing? They were totally cool before that happened. This is the only historic wrong that needs to be righted, according to Donald Trump. But I think he's very honest when he says, times are different now than they were 3 or 4 years ago. We are a country of passion and common sense. Not the common sense part, but the idea that we are a different country than we were 3 or 4 years ago. 3 or 4 years ago, some people thought that like we should think and care. But now we're a country where we desperately need to be distracted from the way that the elites are getting away with murder, financial and just regular. And we need to be distracted by this sort of culture war nonsense. And one of the reasons that I bring this up isn't because it's gonna happen. The owners have come out and said, no, obviously we're not gonna do this, you big orange idiot. Is that if we go to graphic 7, more and more Americans are saying that Trump hasn't paid attention to key issues. In fact, the majority. It is up 6 points since just March. It's up 12 points of those Republicans who think that he is paying attention to the important issues. It's dropped by 12 in that period. And so this is how you screw up the midterms for yourself, by campaigning on pocketbook issues, and then as soon as you get in, it's distractions and nonsense and culture war and identity politics and all that stuff that voters don't care about. And Trump is falling into that exact hole, and I love to see him fall into it. Or a literal one, either, I'm fine. Metaphoric, literal, whatever, it's fine. His cankles would never hold him up when he hits the bottom, that's all I'm saying. Okay, with that said, by the way, we don't get to talk about the Tommy Tuberville thing, but I love that he came out over the weekend and said that libs are causing Trump to develop cankles. He didn't use those words, but that's the message that he was delivering. I think it's hilarious.